Well, happy new year and welcome back to Let's Talk About It, Steph. I hope y'all have had a wonderful new year. I'll tell you, I have, and it has been really crazy around here. But you know what? We're going to make it through. So please reach out to me on Let's Talk About It Steph on YouTube and put your comments in there because I know y'all gonna have some comments tonight. But we got some special guests here tonight. We have Stephen Shook, who is running for CD26. And we have Brian Beck, who will be running for Denton County. I'm sorry, Denton Mayor. And Sophia Anwar will be on, and she's running for Justice of Peace. So those are my special guests that will be on here tonight. So give y'all time. Click on, please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share, and let everybody know that we are actually on live tonight. This is 2026, and I hope you guys are ready for all the fun things that's happening this year. All right, y'all. So I told y'all that I got some special guests coming on here, and I'm gonna bring them all up. Give me a second. Y'all, I'm over here running solo. Dale don't kick me to the curb. No, he didn't. No, he didn't, y'all. No, he didn't. But I'm gonna bring up Stephen Schultz, and I want him to be able to speak about his platform and what he has going on, and especially, have y'all looked at your paychecks lately? Have you had a change in maybe your insurance? Are you covered or not? Let's talk about it. So here is Mr. Steven Shucks.
Good evening, everybody. Like I said, my name is Stephen Shook. I was born here in North Texas, grew up here, went to school here. I've lived here my whole life. This is my home. I work in critical care as a nurse practitioner, so my day job is making real decisions for people when things are at their worst. I've also done humanitarian medical aid across crisis zones in East Africa, which really changes how you see leadership, responsibility, and what actually matters when a system fails. So I'm running for Congress in Texas's 26th congressional district because I think North Texas deserves better than political theater. People are working harder, paying more, and getting less in return. Like Stephanie said, your paychecks, they're not looking great right now because of what's going on. Paying more and getting less in return, and Washington just isn't built around solving problems anymore. So my campaign is about fixing what's broken: healthcare, affordability, infrastructure, and bringing some common sense and accountability back into government. So, I don't know, Stephanie, you want me to just launch right into it? So I've had many patients, especially the numbers are increasing recently, where I get called down to the emergency room for someone that's going to be admitted to the ICU. The ER doctor calls me for a consult. I go down, I see the patient, and I'm told, hey, why is, I ask them, what brought you to the hospital today? Oh, something's going on. Well, have you been taking your medication? No, I can't afford my medication. Okay, well, how long has that been going on? Months. I can't afford my medication for months. My blood pressure medication, my diabetes medication, I can't afford it. Okay, well, we're going to have to admit you to the hospital and get this problem sorted out. I can't afford to be admitted to the hospital. No, you got to let me go home. Well, the chances of you going home and dying from stroke, diabetic ketoacidosis, something like that is a real problem. So this is becoming a real life impact on people, that their prescription drug costs, their health care, the price is out of control. And there are many ways to fix that that are far less expensive for the consumer, far less expensive for the government. And I've written out multiple plans that as soon as I get to Congress, I can slap them on the desk day one in committee and say, here's what we need to focus on and here's what we need to do to solve these problems.
Okay, well, thank you for that. We appreciate everything that you're doing, and especially kind of breaking down a little bit about what's going on in the healthcare sector. Because I can tell you, those diabetes medicine are expensive, and they're supposed to be going down, and then they're recalling some, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know what we're gonna do about this, especially those that do not have health insurance. It's very expensive. But
Yeah,
I
I mean,
definitely
the government right now is pushing that the PLG ones like Ozempic, Moderna, these medications are like a fix-all to everything, but there are serious side effects that can come along with those. So they're not a one-stop fix for everything. So if they're saying, "Hey, we're going to lower costs on Jardiance and medications that are these PLG ones," that's not going to fix everything because some people are going to have some extreme negative side effects to those that they can't take those. So we're going to have to fix all the medications, and there are ways to go about fixing all the medications with most favored nation uh, costs. We can, I don't know if you know this, but we are one of only two countries in the world that allow direct to consumer marketing for medications. You guys have all seen the commercials on TV for ask your doctor about this medication. Only two countries in the world do that, us and New Zealand. So that's billions of dollars spent in advertising that is passed on to the consumer. So this is decisions that need to be made between provider and patient, not the advertising company.
right. So we definitely need to know about what's going on with that. And I appreciate you. I really appreciate you giving us the view of what's going on with the healthcare. And we're going to come back to you because I know I want you to go a little bit more deeper than those that just don't understand what's really going on. They might have just tuned in. But
Mhm.
today I am going to bring on Brian Beck. If y'all have not heard of him, he is running for Denton mayor in Denton, Texas. And we're going to let him get up here and speak about what he is going to be doing and why he is running. And, let's get into it. Welcome aboard, Brian.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on, Steph. It's good to be here. It's good to talk to your listeners. Yeah, no, as you said, I'm running for Denton mayor. I've been in Denton for almost 20 years. I moved here in 2007 to work at TW as a biology professor, and eventually moved over to UT Austin. But I've raised my family here. I retired here in 2024. I've had kids run through Ryan High School. My daughter went to UT Austin. My son's about to graduate in music from UNT. And so I have, made it my, goal to serve my community as an educator, as a research scientist. I'm a computational biologist. I know nobody knows what that is, but that's fine. It just means I'm a scientist in biology that uses a lot of computers. And so, I've been on council for about 4.5 years. I just won re-election in my third term. So, I've been mayor pro tem. I'm the chair of the committee for the environment. I'm a chair of the Development Code Review Committee, Mobility, Downtown Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone. I'm on the Shelter Committee. I'm on the Community Partnership Committee. That's the one that deals with hot taxes and community services. And so what all that means is I bring hands-on, solution-oriented experience with budgets, with development, with planning, with utilities. And that goes like right to, some of my, what I pride myself on interacting with the community in is empowering the community and neighbors to figure out how to advocate for themselves, how to teach them the process, whether they're going through the development process, whether they're advocating for roads, whether they're advocating for social services, parks, recreation, being not only their bullhorn and their representative, but teaching them how to advocate for themselves. And it just goes along with my educational background, 30 years as a professor, research scientist in academia. So my big things are getting those infrastructure ideas that the community champions, that the community gets behind, not only teaching them to advocate for themselves, but getting those changes codified into our rules. So we've had a lot of success protecting historic homes, protecting the environment, championing against sprawl. We in North Texas with our amazing growth year over year, some of the highest growth in the nation. There's been a lot of growing pains, and it's made it hard for our individual communities to maintain their unique identities, as we've just been throwing development after development after development. Seems like people want a McDonald's and a Taco Bell popping up on every corner, and that makes it challenging for all these communities to maintain their unique environment. And so you have to advocate for yourselves. And so that's really what I've been focused on. For this campaign, switching from city council to mayor, I not only have brought in that getting through the learning curve, knowing how all the processes are done, but advocating for folks in ways that I think we don't always see in our community leadership. Sometimes, unfortunately, some voices are heard and listened to more prominently than other voices. And so I really prided myself on making sure that everyone has a seat at the table, everyone knows who everyone is, and having strong independent leadership. And for this campaign, I'll be not really pivoting, but I'll be focusing my existing focus on infrastructure, the environment, and quality of life, creativity. But so to four main things. We've seen, because of the chaos at the federal level and the chaos at the state level in Austin, we've really seen an affordability crisis that's pushing on our lower and middle income households. Just like Stephen was saying, people are having to make a decision between paying taxes, putting food on the table, putting medical or getting medical coverage, and sending their kids to daycare and paying rent. It's too many things for the folks. So I'll really be focusing on sort of a sustainable, fair practice, fairly tiered consumption-based utility rates, making sure that landlords and renters are not put under the gun by price fixing rents. Focusing on centralized development in our city core so that we maximize taxpayer dollars. Really focusing on the creativity of Denton. You've seen our Halloween town, where we were recently on track to earn about $18 million on that creative effort for small businesses. And then leveraging something that our community has maybe beyond most other communities in the DFW Metroplex, and that's we have three colleges. We have UNT, TW, and NCTC. And so, really using that as an incubator for career paths to develop new opportunities for folks to come to Denton, stay to Denton, develop a career development in Denton, and raise their family in Denton, all successfully while able to maintain rent and put food on the table. So, that's pretty much what I'm bringing to Denton, is a combination of fresh ideas and experience. I'm really trying to thread that needle there between not doing things the old way, but knowing exactly how to get things done. So I look forward to the conversation today.
Well, thank you, Brian, for that. And we're going to definitely get back into asking you some questions later on. So just hang tight with us tonight. But we're going to bring up Miss Sophia Anwar. She is, and I hope I pronounced your last name correctly, because of the simple fact is she will be marrying people and dealing with all kind of things like housing situations, and we need somebody on the bench that actually is just like us, that have the knowledge and the experience to get the job done and take care of the community of Denton County. So y'all, let's give her a big shout out.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I'm so excited to be here and really honored to be here on with Stephen and Brian. Brian actually both most recently went to the state Democratic state convention together out in El Paso, which was really fun. And I think it just goes to show folks who have continued to stay engaged, not only with their community, but within the Democratic Party, and to build that up and show that Denton County is very much a county um, that the state party should be paying attention to, that the state should be paying attention to, but also that the country should be paying attention to. Like Stephanie said, my name is Sophia Anwar. I really appreciate you saying my name correctly. I'm running for Justice of the Peace in Precinct 6 in Denton County. Precinct 6 covers Castle Hills, Carrollton, as well as parts of Plano and Dallas, all within Denton County. And I'm running, like Stephanie mentioned, for Precinct 6. Early voting is happening February 17 to 27. And in Denton County, you can vote anywhere within early voting. And so I always really mention that because, yes, March 3rd is election day, but the day after March 3rd, you can't do anything about it. And so I really like to focus a lot of our efforts on early voting. And I'm really excited to share that we're going to be, we've already started knocking on doors, but we're going to have a big block walk kickoff this Saturday, January 10th at 11 a.m. at Haraz in Castle Hills. So if you've never knocked on a door before or you've done it many, many times, we welcome everyone. Just bring some sunscreen and bring comfortable shoes, and we'll, be sure to join in community, because I think for me, it's not about me being in this office. It's about how we can work together to build resources. I immigrated to the US. I had just turned 5 years old. My family chose to move to Texas because we saw that Texas was a space where we could really be met with open arms and also build a life, build that American dream. And my parents did just that. My dad is a small business owner. We grew up in a small 2-bedroom apartment, but it was a space filled with possibility. And so even when there were crazy weather situations and maybe our apartment had a little bit of flooding because of a lot of rain, or the hot water wasn't coming in and we had to talk to the landlord, we still made that our home because it was. But that doesn't mean that there were things that maybe shouldn't have happened or things that didn't need tending to. That also meant that I was a child growing up like everybody else, and navigating new spaces. And I also dealt with and continue to deal with a little bit of anxiety. But as a child, I didn't know how to navigate that. So I missed a few days of school, and I got a letter in the mail when I was, transitioning in ninth grade, which is kind of a big deal when you're like a, 14-year-old girl. And I got a letter in the mail saying I was in danger of truancy. And that was really scary and really alarming. And I'm very grateful that I had parents and teachers who advocated for me to say that, we're definitely going to monitor this anxiety because it seems like it's a real thing. And I was very lucky because I was able to maintain good grades. But again, these things are happening to everybody, right? They happen to me, but they're also happening to thousands of people across Precinct 6. And I think we deserve someone in that seat that is going to listen to everyone, because the most interesting thing about this seat is that it's created within our Texas Constitution, and it's supposed to be a court that's of your peers. So you are supposed to, just as a regular Texan, be able to go in front of that court and plead your case, because you're supposed to be able to appear in front of a peer. And unfortunately, we're not always being heard in that court. And I want to make sure that we are. So regardless of who you want to marry and what culture, traditional backgrounds you come from, I want to make sure I ask you how you want your names to be pronounced, how you want your ceremony to go, and if there are any things I need to be made aware of, because this is a very special day for you. So, like I mentioned, truancy is something that this court deals with. Evictions also are something that this court deals with, as well as weddings, which Stephanie alluded to earlier. This court also deals with small claims. So if you have a dispute under 20,000, that can be dealt with here. Now, running as a Democrat, obviously, I'm, all for fairness and justice, and that's very important. But I know that this court has the ability to do so much more. I currently sit on the board for the United Way of Denton County, working closely on issues regarding utilities assistance, housing, and homelessness. And it should not shock everybody, unfortunately, how many people across Denton County are just one paycheck, one car payment, one life event away from not being able to afford their home. And that is something that government can't always just step in to solve. I know Brian mentioned this earlier. How do we help people advocate for themselves? But also, I want to be able to bring in those resources that already exist in our county, whether that's federal funds or state funds or nonprofit funds, and make sure that they know that there's a home for them within the courthouse so that if you are a person in need, I don't just send you with a phone number and address to contact someone at a later time. I want you to be able to go down the hall. I want you to go upstairs or downstairs and meet with someone that same day so that you can get attention. Because the only thing that elected officials should be doing is making sure that we can connect people with resources. And if we are not doing that effectively, then I'm not sure what we're doing. I believe that public service is just a high level of customer service. And I think we should be providing a better service. And I've worked both I've had the great fortune of working both at the Obama White House, as working in Congress on Capitol Hill, working for the Texas legislature as both a district director and a chief of staff. And so having that experience working across different levels of government, having the experience of working in nonprofit and on nonprofit, I know that we can do more, and it all happens if we work collaboratively together. So I'm really excited to be on your ballot. Again, Carrollton, Castle Hills, parts of Plano, and Dallas, February 17 to 27, as your Democratic candidate.
Well, thank you for that. We're definitely going to be getting back into talking to you later also about your platform, and we'll be taking comments as well. So if you have questions that you want to ask our candidates, please feel free to hop in and ask the question, and I'll pass it on to them so they can answer it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because you know what, this whole year we're going to be bringing in our candidates all across Texas and making sure that you have an opportunity to speak to them and actually hear from them, and they don't have to do a 2-minute stump speech. So are y'all ready? Okay. So I promised y'all we was gonna get into this 7 days. I feel like Tony Braxton right about now, 7 whole days, and I don't had enough of him already. From I know I can't make this stuff up. From going over to Venezuela, and I don't even know if I can even say kidnapping the president and the wife, even though we know he is a POS. But you know what, let's make sure we do the right thing at the right time and protect our country, because sometimes people tend to get into things and make it worse than what it already is. And then we also know that sometimes folks do not do things for the benefit of this country, they do it the benefits of their pockets and whoever is the biggest donor to their campaign. So what do y'all have to say about this Venezuelan takeover?
Well, I'll start here. So yes, you're right. Maduro was a terrible human being. Treated his country and his people terribly. Is Venezuela better without him? Yes. Was there a better way to do this? 100%. The way the current administration went about doing this and that Trump went about doing this, 100% illegal. So there has to be some kind of accountability for that. I recently had a friend that is very far right leaning that texted me and said, "Hey, I want to know, what you think about this, other than telling me Orange Man bad." And I told him, yes, Maduro is a bad person, but there's very specific steps in the Constitution that say how something like this is done. this Maduro's been under indictment for a decade, more. We had a 2011 indictment on him. We had a 2020 indictment on him. They wrote a 2025 indictment on him. He wasn't a clear and imminent danger to the United States that required military action. So them using the guise of him being a clear and present danger to the United States so that they could go in and take over oil reserves. I've been saying for 6 months that these drug boat bombings it had nothing to do with drugs. It's all been this end game to get oil for Trump and his oil company friends. So whenever I get to Congress, this is going to be something that's going to have to come up, and people are going to have to be held accountable. But the main thing is, this is doing nothing for the people of the United States. This is doing nothing to lower the price of healthcare. This is nothing to lower the price of groceries. This is not doing nothing to lower the cost of rent. This is more political theater for him to distract from his failed promises.
I just knew you was going to say the Epstein file. I was waiting for you to say the Epstein file.
That too. I mean, that's a whole nother issue that they have violated the law on very clearly. That the law very clearly stated that they had until December 19th, and Pam Bondi's gone through and said that she found 1 million more files. Well, she presented to Congress that there was nothing more to investigate, and now there's 1 million more files that she's found. So at which point did she lie to Congress? That there was nothing more to investigate, or that she needs more time with these files? Either way, I mean, she is in clear violation of the law as well. So a good president down to Pam Bondi to Pete Hegseth, these are all people that have committed high crimes and misdemeanors against the United States, and those are all impeachable offenses. So we need to get a Congress in there that has some real spine and starts holding these people accountable.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you, because at this point, what's going to stop another country from trying to do the same thing? And I know that there are plenty of people that would love to give him away on a silver platter, but you have to kind of like think about this, y'all. First of all, I doubt very seriously if they'll be able to get to him, because
Mhm.
of our security, our military and his security is they're very good at what they do, you know. But what's to stop somebody from trying?
Yep.
That's the problem that I have. And are you setting us up for something else to wind up happening for retaliation?
Well,
I feel
well,
like you need to have a plan in place, and I don't think that there was.
yeah, and all this saber rattling about Greenland has caused a lot of issues on our um domestic foreign policy. It's making us look terrible to our allies. And for Stephen Miller to come out and say, well, we could take Greenland just because we're the strongest. We've heard those words in history before. This is not a good direction to be heading.
Exactly. Exactly. We look like a bunch of bullies.
Yeah,
Well, hello, Dale, and happy
there
new
he is.
year to you. Welcome back. See, y'all, he left me in charge just for a little bit. So I did good, Dale. I did good.
You did.
Yeah, how you doing? It's Happy New Year's.
Here.
It's crazy. We're only 7 days into the new year, first week, right? And boy, what a week
Right.
already! It's crazy. I mean, I don't know if you turned on the news today,
Mhm.
but yeah, I guess I won't go too far into it because I'm not quite sure. I'm about half an hour late here, so I'm not sure what y'all have talked about already. But yeah,
We're getting ready to go into that one. So at first, okay. So those of y'all that are like me and was at work and wasn't paying attention to what was going on in the news, and I had just so happened I found out through my General Hospital feed when people were getting mad because they couldn't watch General Hospital. So now I'm gonna have to watch it on Hulu. Y'all need to cut me a check for saying your name. But anywho, I I found out, I'm like, what is going on? And then when we received the message saying, hey, this happened, and I'm looking at the videos and I'm like, oh my God. So I know. What is she talking about? Minnesota ICE came in and there was a lady that was basically blocking the road allegedly, because we really don't know if she was having
Mhm.
car issues or what was going on, because it looked like from the video that I seen that she was waving them to come on across. Well, one of the ICE people, they got out of their vehicles, went to her vehicle trying to yank her out of her car, and while he was doing that, the other ICE agent shot in her car. Oops, I wasn't supposed to say that word. Well, disarmed themselves into this person's vehicle. So, people are getting unalived by ICE.
Yep.
It's
It's unfortunately one of those things that any sane person could see a mistake like this coming a mile away. I mean, they haven't trained these people properly. They've searched them into cities without notifying local law enforcement, local, uh, Brian, you're running for mayor, so they haven't notified their local mayors. I mean, this is how Brian, how would you feel? ICE shows up, you're the mayor, you have no idea what they're doing there, and now all of a sudden one of your citizens is unalive. I believe her name is Nicole Good. I mean, she's there, and
Yeah,
they're
no,
they're already trying to say that she was a domestic terrorist rather than just admitting, hey, we're going to look into this. We're going to label her a domestic terrorist and say, oh, problem solved. We're good. So this is another instance of severe overreach by this administration.
yeah, that's been happening across the country. Mayors and city councils all across the country are finding themselves embroiled in national politics and to some degree international issues that are, I mean, regardless of how they feel about it, are far outside the scope of what they normally should have to be dealing with. And yet here we find ourselves with. Um, insane tactics by federal officials acting in ways that are unethical, immoral, definitely community disruptive, designed to distract and divide. And you find that municipal officials, like whether we're talking about justices of the peaces like Sophia is running for, or mayor like I'm running for, we find ourselves having to deal with these kinds of issues. And Texas, they recently passed the mandatory 287G cooperation law, and that went into effect on September 1st. And so all county sheriffs are forced to cooperate, but that doesn't cover currently municipal officers. And we had an example like this in Denton, where just a few months ago, the mayor and the local ICE director um, had a meeting, and thankfully the city council um, put the kibosh on that, and we're not having any cooperation, any interactions. And you can see that based on Minneapolis's events and other events in New Mexico and California and New York are justified until we get folks like Stephen in Congress that will take an active oversight role and hold people's feet to the fire and make sure that oversight and proper authorization for these kinds of activities are not only sought but obtained.
Absolutely.
And what it's worse, like Brian was saying, like the effects happen locally, right? We see these things happening, we see them on the national news, we see these international news, but the effects that are happening are happening to our neighbors, right? So we know this from fact, and we get this data when we're looking at how MetroCrest is responding and how United Way and other nonprofits are responding. Is people are afraid to get the necessary medical care they need, and when they get sick, then their children don't attend school. And when they get sick, then they're not able to provide the childcare that is needed. When they're sick, they're not able to go to the work that they need to do so that they can maintain their rent payments. And so when that happens and people are afraid, then they don't get to be healthy and safe citizens. They don't get to be health and safe people within our communities. And that turns into loss of work, it turns into loss of schooling, and then it turns into people who are too afraid to say, I need help. And when you're too afraid to say, I need help, then unfortunately, when you do, if you are able to ask for help, it comes almost too late and almost too costly. And then it does become very, not only hard to help, but it also becomes, like I mentioned, it becomes very expensive, not just on nonprofits who want to try to, bridge that gap, but also to access the services and funds that are available at the municipal or county or even federal level. And so we're seeing that now. And I also want to share that, there is a lack of oversight. When I worked in Congress, I worked for a congresswoman who served on the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, and that work is so important, and it should be robust. That's the beautiful thing about America is you can say proudly, I'm an American, and I also want to know why and how these things are happening. That's why we have FOIA, so you can any citizen and any person, any American can say, I want to know where this money is going and how this is going. Like, it's a beautiful thing that we have. You can love and critique, and it can go hand in hand. But when people feel afraid and there is no balance, there's no justice, there's no fairness, then we don't have due process. That's a very scary thing. And I also want to say that, you know, when we see that happen, it also means that, again, people are getting evicted. It means that kids are afraid to go to school because maybe they're afraid of leaving their family. And these are real things that people in our community are dealing with. And it takes everyone together to stand up to say, like, we're not standing up for this. We want to speak out, and we're going to stand in solidarity with our neighbors. And I think, regardless of who you've ever voted for, I think every American will agree that we want to focus on helping Americans. And if so many of us are struggling within just our county, are struggling with basic needs like having a livable wage or being able to afford a safe place to put our kids, then maybe we need to focus a little bit more on what's happening here at home before we take on additional things. No American wants that, and I think that was the focus. That's why a lot of people voted the way they did, because they wanted affordability. And unfortunately, they're not getting the deliverables on the promises that were made. So I think it's okay to embrace everyone who's saying, like, I don't think I like this, and say, yeah, I agree with you. And I would like to help you. I would like to stand with you and voice that, regardless of how you have ever felt before. Like, in this moment, we are united in saying, like, we want to ensure that we are looking inwards and not taking on additional things that we don't need to take on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's kind of not ironic. It just feels weird because you're right. People did vote a certain way for affordability, which is something that Donald Trump did run on. He ran on the price of eggs and things like that, only to now later on, or at least not even a month ago, he said that the word affordability was a hoax by the Democrats, right? It's very much back and forth, but I don't want to go off on a tangent because what happened today was a very avoidable tragedy and something that I think the administration has intentionally been pushing. Now, first, I do want to give a shout out to the mayor over there. His name is Jacob Frey. Maybe I have a little bit of a bias towards him because we share the same last name. But he's actually very angry. The mayor basically said, "quote get the f out of Minneapolis," end quote. He said, "We are demanding that ICE leave the city and state immediately." That's another quote. "We do not want you here. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust." And not to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but I sometimes kind of wonder if that's the point, because Trump has been pushing and pushing and pushing. The rhetoric's been getting worse and worse and worse. We could have seen this coming from a mile away. And what I worry about is that if someone does retaliate, will Trump use that as leverage to demand either more action to push his thumb on the scale even harder, and or, God forbid, declare martial law, which some speculated thought he might try to do on January 6th had things happen in some sort of different way. But again, I don't want to make up conspiracy theories, but it's it, things are progressively worse and worse and worse, and every day feels like the worst day that our country has seen, and it's tragic. But yeah, absolutely. Stephanie, tell us, what do you think about ICE? And also, as someone running for the county commissioner, and also I think Brian brought this up as well, the 287G, the deputizing local law enforcement as ICE. And Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think this somehow gives federal ICE access to our Denton County prison system. I
It, we have a shared database, a shared criminal database that we enter all records into. Unfortunately, even the municipal police records are in that, and so yeah, it gives them they have access to records that can do detention holds.
Yeah. So, Stephanie, please stand against that as our future county commissioner for 287G.
Dale, you know, I've been working this year on trying to be good, but I agree with the mayor that they need to be out. And I'm trying really hard not to say the words, and I might wind up saying it. So, YouTube, if you wind up flagging me, I get flagged. Oh, well, it is what it is. But I think they're a piece of shit for coming out there and doing what they're doing. And for them to sit up there and basically, if you watch the video and bombarding this lady's vehicle instead of doing the right thing and asking her to move instead of yanking at her car, because you yank at my car, I'm gonna have some of the same reaction that she did. But my thing is, if you're gonna have agents, make sure they're actually trained, because you're dealing with a firearm, right? And when he unloaded his weapon, he could have easily, that bullet could have easily ricocheted and hit the other officer that was at her door. So then we would have had two people down instead of one. We don't need federal government into our cities. We do not need federal governments at all that's trying to pull people out. I believe in our police officers. I believe in our sheriffs, and I think that they have the capability of doing their job without having extra help, because they are trained to do the job. They went through all kind of training. They have gone through psych wards and everything. Now, yes, we do have some that have maybe have slipped through the cracks and had some issues, but I really believe in our police departments and our sheriff department that they can do the job by making sure that they can de-escalate things versus what's been going on here in all of our communities. Here in Denton County, we don't need that. I think that our sheriff departments can handle whatever is coming their way, and so along with our police department. So we don't need that extra assistant. And I understand that the current mayor secretly went and had a meeting with the director of ICE to try to bring them in. I don't know what his thought process was on that. Don't bring in trauma into your city. It's not needed. You know, take care of your people, listen to your people, protect your people. That's what you're supposed to do. And like I say again, I believe that our sheriff department is capable in our state. Have y'all seen our state troopers? I don't want to ever get a ticket from them, because you know they kind of they can handle, our Texas trooper can handle anything that come their way. I have much respect for them. Now, do we have issues where we have some police officers that take it a little bit too far? Yes, we do. But overall, we don't have half of the issues that some of these other cities and states have. We don't. We really don't. But can it be improved? Yes. And that's one of the things as a commissioner that I want to make sure that I do, is make sure that they have the budget and the tools that they need to be able to do their job the right way. And we can do something about our wonderful jailhouse that it's just ridiculous. We got to definitely fix that. So we got some things that we need to fix, and I will be talking about a lot of my platform coming up real soon. But that's one of the things that I'm really passionate about, is making sure that we take care of our citizens and do the right thing. And I back our sheriff department and our police department. They can do the job. We don't need ICE coming over here at all.
And I think you and Sophia nailed it on the head is when you said solidarity, the solidarity that needs to happen between the federal level. So everyone on this call right now has a role to play together in solidarity and making these things better and working together, from federal, like Sophia said, federal, municipal, county, to help make improvements by working together. So like you said, part of my platform is walking back some of this funding that has been given to ICE to give it back to our local police departments, so that they have proper training for mental health emergencies. They have the proper number of officers employed to handle situations. All this money was taken away and given to ICE, and that system obviously isn't working. So through mayor, county commissioner, justice of the peace, Congress, we can work together to find out where these holes are, what we need to do to fix these issues, and make real progress.
Well, thank you, Steve. Well, while we're still on this topic, we're gonna kind of like slide a little bit into the midterm. So the president got on air and said, basically told his Republican folks that, hey, y'all better win this midterm, because if you don't win the midterm, they're going to impeach me. They're going to find a way to impeach me. No, sir, we don't want to just impeach you. We want to get you and your crew gone.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do.
So somebody doesn't say that unless, there's something they've done that they're worried about that's an impeachable offense, which, you could probably sit here and list them out all day. So, if he hadn't done all this wild stuff, he wouldn't be worried about getting impeached in another year, less.
So. Yeah, the immediate response would be, well, impeached for what specifically? You know, Steve Bannon actually very recently said something very similar. He said, we have to win because, he said, general quote here, if we don't win in 2026, then several people in this room, including myself, are going to jail, end quote. And I saw it on social media, because on social media, someone has a clip of that where they now flash the camera to themselves, some random person. He's smiling and laughing. He's playing music in the background with a glass of wine. But no, it's self-incriminating when someone says something like that. I believe that is 100% self-incriminating when to say like, oh, like they're gonna, if we gave a fraction of the rhetoric back to them than they gave to us, it would well, let's not go down that path. But I will just say it is absolutely self-incriminating.
Well, and it does nothing for the points that Stephen and Sophia brought up that I mentioned earlier, and that those affordability issues. It's making it worse. It's taking federal funds that could go to home and CDBG grants, ARP grants that would help divert people into permanent supportive housing. Sophia knows probably more about that than I do, but the idea that we have funds that we could be using that are being diverted away on purpose, funds that could be helping the educational facilities and helping people have a better quality of life outcomes are being taken away from the local level, being used not only just their absence is being felt and the lack of support, but then those same funds are, because all money is fungible, are being used to disrupt the community further. So it's not mere, it's adding insult to injury, that we could be focusing on, having the Justice Department not worry about, narco terrorism that doesn't exist, or does, but has very little bearing to Denton and Louisville and Carrollton and Little Elm and Dallas, but instead, we could have the Justice Department worrying about price fixing with RealPage that affects rents like these could absolutely, we could have, I think we, at the top of the hour, we talked about why isn't Congress looking at the ACA subsidies? We're going to hit lower income and middle class households directly in the pocketbook. Many households are going up 300%. And so they're forcing cities and counties to step up, and provide all these resources at the same time that they're taking the resources away. It's making it the job, because all politics end up being local. As Sophia said, everything occurs here in our communities. So it makes it more and more challenging. So we absolutely need people that are not focused on what's best for their pocketbooks, and their political aspirations, but what's best for the community.
I agree. I agree. I really believe that if you want to do something, let's fix the homelessness that we got going on throughout, not only in Denton County, but throughout Texas, throughout this country. We have so many homeless people that are living up on the bridges, up on the trees, in tents, and in their cars, and people that are living in a car. They're working 40 hours a week, and they are still cannot afford housing. That's a problem that we have, and that's a huge problem that we have over in Denton County, because even though we might have those centers that can help them, we don't have enough to help all of them. You don't have to be an abused woman to be able to get housing. There should be something to help everybody, not just one group of people. So that's something that we definitely need to make sure that we focus on. And Stephen, I hope whoever wants to win the primary, I really hope that we can go in there and fix this medical thing, because it's really bad. And I can tell you, I'm putting my business out there, me as being a diabetic. That's the scariest thing in a person's life, is not being able to get the medication that you need to control your sugar level. Because if your sugar level is running from 300 and up, it's not under control. That's going to offset all kind of other issues, and the only thing that they have to do is take their medicine or get a shot for their diabetes. And with it being so expensive, we're going to have a lot of people that's going to pass away because they can't afford to get the medical help that they need.
Yeah, I've had many of my patients die from diabetic ketoacidosis, and it's a real problem. I mean, it's solvable by proper monitoring and blood sugar control. But to back up just a second and talk about what you're talking about with the homeless situation. So I went, I believe it was about a month ago, to the Denton County Homeless Coalition meeting, and they're talking about the Department of the HUD had changed their financing for the entire state of Texas from $16 million down to $5 million, and what they were going to be able to, that's all they want for the entire state is $16 million. So we're giving massive tax incentives and tax breaks to the billionaire class, where we could be helping countless homeless people with as little as an extra $10 million. That's ridiculous. I'll give you a good example. I'm sitting at the hospital right now waiting to start my shift, and there is a gentleman that, for a lack of a better term, lives down the street from the hospital on the corner, named Billy. I've saved Billy's life 4 times now, because he's been found down on the corner by the hospital, unresponsive or half dead, and we've brought him in here. We've put him in the ICU. We've treated him, and we've sent him to, after we treat him at the ICU, we send him to a long-term acute care facility, and then they've got nowhere to put him afterwards. So he's back on the street and back on the corner down the street from the hospital, waiting for the next time we find him. So there has to be an answer to what happens after he gets out of these long-term acute care facilities. We can't just keep putting Billy back on the street so that I can see him again in a month. I mean, that's not cost effective. the amount it costs to treat Billy in the ICU compared to what it would be to set him up with temporary housing is ridiculous. I mean, the cost difference there is negligible.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. It's ridiculous, and I feel like that's mismanagement of budgets. And we pay most everybody on here probably have their own home, right? And all of us done played the lotto. My thing is this, and this is why I bring this up. If we're paying property taxes that's supposed to be allocated for school and whatever else that they're using it
I'm sorry,
for.
my child needs me real quick. I'll be right back. Real life of running for office and having young children. So I will be right back,
Absolutely.
I promise.
No problem, no problem. The craziest thing is, and we're all playing the lotto, and part of that money from the lotto ticket is supposed to go towards school, education, or whatever they're allocating it towards, but it's supposed to go towards helping people. Why are we not using that money that we're spending willingly, some of us? Why are you not taking care of the people of Texas? Where is
Yeah.
this money going?
And proper
Well,
investment in those funds that go towards from your property taxes that go towards school funding, proper investment in that would adequately fund schools and lower people's property taxes. So all the money's being mismanaged. There are simple solutions to all these things, and we just choose to take apparently the most difficult route possible. So we're already paying the cost of the better way. We're just not getting the better way.
yeah,
Well, we
and
have
when
somebody. I'm sorry, Dale. I'm just gonna take this time. Chris mentioned crooks in office.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the when it comes to the budget, particularly here in Texas, it's a bit frustrating because I think I had this graphic before, but I wasn't able to pull it up right now on the spot. We had $40 billion in the surplus here in Texas, 40 with a B. I mean, for one, you would say, "Oh, it's a good problem to have. That means we have money." But the problem is we're not spending it. So I use this analogy. I say, imagine a rich man is sitting here saying, "Look at me. Look how much money I have in the bank. Look at me. I'm rich." Yet simultaneously, at the same time, his plumber comes up and says, "Sir, you haven't paid your bills." Or his dentist comes up and says, "Sir, you haven't paid your bill. How and why haven't you paid your bills if you're so rich?" That's the situation we find ourselves in Texas. We are paying what I feel like is an arm and a leg in property taxes, at least in my home. And while they're collecting my taxes, that money is not going to our public schools. The basic allotment, um, the basic allotment should have been adjusted over a decade ago. And because the basic allotment, which is the major determining factor that determines how much money goes to our public schools here in Texas, because that variable has not been changed. I mean, I think it was changed recently, but with the school voucher program. But because they dragged their feet so long in changing that basic allotment, inflation killed our education system here in Texas. Furthermore, at the national level, by defunding the Department of Education, that defunds our public schools. That's not tearing down the Department of Education at the national level is not going to change our curriculum. It's going to defund our schools. So a lot of this is very intentional. When it comes to the funding, we were talking about the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill. It strips money away from so many different government agencies and gives it all to ICE. And yet at the same time, while ICE is now going to be overfunded by the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, my property taxes have to go even further up now to support the 287G ICE program here in Denton County. So it is very frustrating, particularly Stephanie, when you say, "Man, like how are schools not being funded? We have the money for it, but our legislature just won't allow us to pour any more money into it without a voucher scam." So it's very frustrating. It very much is a problem inflicted by the Republican Party. And when I know that sounds very pointed, but the Republican Party is the one in control right now, both in a
Mhm.
trifecta on the congressional level and a trifecta on the state level here in Texas. And you can't blame anyone for the fact that our public schools are suffering, anyone other than the Republican Party who put us into this situation.
Oh, it looks like I came back right at a perfect time. Um, I'd love to add to that. Like I mentioned before, Justice of the Peace Court handles truancy. And, our schools are funded, and Dale was talking about that a little bit. Our schools are funded based on not the enrollment number, so not the amount of kids that start off the school year. It's funded based on every single day how many kids are in that classroom. So I want you to think about it. If a school or a principal or a superintendent is trying to see how many teachers do we need, how can I ensure that we have enough teachers in the classroom? How can we ensure we have enough bus drivers? They need to know how many kids are going to be in the school, and then they can budget for that. That makes the most sense, right? But if every day that number can fluctuate, then it's very hard to know how much money you will have to work off of, right? Again, it's very simple math. People try to make it really complicated, and they say there's a lot of factors. It's very simple math, and that is the math. And the state says, well, we're not going to give you an exact number. We're not going to give you, variables that you can actually like tangibly work off of. We're just going to say that number will fluctuate. So if your budget is fluctuating, then you really don't know how to ensure that you have enough funds. And because our schools are funded by how many kids are in seats every single day, when children are truant or they have missed usually around 10 days plus of school, then your schools are actually losing money. And what that means is you, as a taxpayer, are sending money towards public school, but it's not going there. It gets recaptured and it goes to the state. Okay, it goes to the state. Maybe the state sends it back to the communities. Well, we don't know that. So our state, which has one of the, I think the seventh or the eighth largest economy in the world, has a variable that they don't share where that money goes to. So it just gets recaptured and no one knows. And that's not me just pretending to say that. Literally, no one knows where that money goes. And everyone should be very angry about that because, again, we're talking about affordability. These are our hard-earned tax dollars that are budgeted towards public schools that then get taken away and we don't even know where they go. So for me, Justice of the Peace Court plays such a pivotal role here because, yes, you can say a child is missing school, and by the state, the parents actually get criminalized and penalized for that. So they have to pay a fine, sometimes upwards to $500. Does that help to put that child in the classroom? Does that help to make sure that the tax dollars are put back into the public school system? No. And there's always going to be a case of a child who doesn't go to school for they don't want to go to school. But being a child who was in danger of truancy because of anxiety, I will tell you that there are many children who are not going to school because there's something else going on. I've sat in on JP courts both in Dallas and Denton County, and I've sat in on tribunal courts for Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD and sat in on a few hearings with an LISD as well. And I'll tell you that sometimes there are students who say, I have a single parent and my parent is now sick. And I need to step up and help my family, whatever that means. Maybe they're taking on an extra shift, they're doing some like Uber driving or something, but they're just trying to help their family. And if we put ourselves in that shoe of that child, by the way, 16 is still a child, 18 is, I know you want to say an adult, but it's still someone who's, finishing up high school. What would we do in that situation? Would we say, I have to go to school, which is important, or would we say, like, I need to help my family survive? And we need to be able to tend to all of those needs. And again, one person, one court, or one elected official is not going to solve that, but we have resources in the community. And so when we can come together and say, we're going to listen to what's going on, we want to ask you also. We're not just going to assume that you're going to tell us because a lot of people are scared. They're scared to say, this is what's happening at home because they're afraid you're going to take away their parent or you're going to like add additional hardships into their lives. So we need to be able to listen to say, how can we help you? Not how are we going to criminalize and how we're going to penalize you, and ensure that services are attended to early so they're not only cheaper and cost effective, but also help people get back onto a productive path. And then again, ensure that those kids get back into school because that is the goal. And when they're back in school, not only did they actually get to finish out school, which is very important, but then your tax dollars also get to stay in the public schools, which is really important. So, long about way to say JP courts are very, very like play a very pivotal role and instrumental role in public schools and how the funding stays where it's supposed to be.
No, they really do. They have knock-on effects too. I don't mean to jump in there, but you when you have children taking on the roles of parents and trying to make ends meet, like Sophia just described, all that economic vitality and diversity is taken out of the community, and the some of the VAT taxes and sales taxes that we rely on for municipal programs. If you want recreation and after school care, that's coming substantially from property and sales tax, and if cities don't have the budgets for those recreation parks and recreation facilities to do those kinds of activities, then we just exacerbate the problem further. You keep more parents at home, you keep more children at home, you lower their opportunities for future economic growth and development in the future.
I mean, these situations are absolutely real world situations that Sophia is talking about. You're talking about children with anxiety. Do we have enough invested in mental health care, or can these families afford the prescription medications that those children need to be able to make it through their school day? Or kids that are missing school due to some socioeconomic issue. I personally went to an alternative high school in the Hershey-Lewis Bedford School District, where I went to school from 8 till 12, and then went to a full-time job afterwards, because I had those kind of situations and needing to help provide for my family and care for my family. So I had to go to a totally different high school because there was specifically set up for students that were in that way. So whether we need to fund more schools like that, or take into account in the justice of peace situation, do kids need to be enrolled in these programs so that they can help care for their families? I would get up, go to school at 8 o'clock in the morning, get out by 11:30, and then go to work and work a full-time job. So these are real situations that kids are facing, and not every school district has the opportunity to go to one of those types of schools.
Whew. Y'all, this has been a very interesting week. And we have a guest on here, but he has to turn his camera on. So, Chris, come pop on. And I know you have some questions and you want to say something. All right. There you go,
I
Chris.
always love talking to Chris. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Chris always got something to say. Chris, what do you got to say tonight?
No, sir, you muted, Chris. You need to unmute yourself. Just notice the icon.
Help. That would help.
There you go.
All right. Everybody, Sophia, nice to meet you. Stephen, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Stephanie, Brian. You know what? I think I don't really have anything to add to what's been said. I totally agree, and those resources need to be there. I did, Dale mentioned it's up to 40 billion now. Wow. Last time I checked it was 32 billion, but wow, we're up to 40 billion surplus.
So sorry, just to clarify, we were at 40 billion. We dropped down to 30, mainly because of Operation Lone Star that cost us 10 billion. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, got you. No, I totally agree that funding needs to be allocated toward our schools, and that voucher scam needs to be shut down. I mean, that's criminal. But I do agree with everybody here that the funding needs to go to the right place. I mean, again, it's criminal what's going on. I mean, our tax dollars are literally being stolen. I mean, if you, that I don't know any other way to look at that.
Mm-hmm. This is the most interesting conversation in Canada Forum that we have had. And everyone that's on here plays a key role in taking care of our community, from Congress, from Justice of Peace, and mayor and clerks, and of course commissioner, and the voter. we have a big job ahead of us. I'm going to say we're going to win in 2026, but we definitely have a big job ahead of us to do some redirecting some things and make sure that we are transparent to the people, because basically this is what I heard today from a constituent that said that, hey, can you fix 407 road? Throughout everyone that I have spoken to, and it doesn't matter what side they're on, because at the end of the day, we're all tearing our cars up on these roads. They want the roads fixed. They want a plan in place. They want you to tell them the truth. So when we're out there campaigning and when we get into our positions, we have to be transparent to the community and let them know what's going on. If you tell me that, hey, we got a leak that we're trying to fix, but we got to move money over here so we can pay for that, let us know what's going on. Don't sit here and bull crap us and tell us, hey, that the cow manure smells good and we know it stinks. you
Yes,
know
yes.
they put it like that. But we
That's a
definitely
great
need,
metaphor.
I come up with this stuff on a daily basis. But we have to do better in how we interact with the people out there, to with our community, and we just have to be upfront and honest with them. We're in a time, I feel like, that you can't sugarcoat it anymore. We don't sugarcoat it for 30 years and look where we're at now.
Yes,
We gotta rip that bandage off, whether it's gonna hurt. But guess what? As long as we're upfront with the folks and letting them know, hey, this is what's going on, and you have an actual plan in place, not a concept of a plan. You actually have a plan in place of how you're going to fix it, how you can address these issues that these folks have, because they have real concerns. I have real concerns. I don't want to have to be paying high taxes for the rest of my life. A senior, they have worked all their life, they shouldn't have to be taxed out of their homes. We are having water issue in 15, 20 years from now. We bringing in these facilities that's soaking up all our water. We need to be careful about how we are doing things, as far as we bringing in these big companies in some of our small counties. We need to be careful about how we do things. And as far as Sophia, I think that's the best job ever that you're going for, because the simple fact is everything starts with our kids.
Yeah.
If we do not prepare these kids for the future, you're going to see a lot of them in your court. So it's very important that people like Steve and Dr. Brian, I can't believe you, a biology professor. You need to be creating new drugs so I can lose weight the right way. But all everybody on here basically have a job to do, and we got to do it the right way and be up honest and close with our people so they understand what's going on. So Phil, it starts at ground zero, and you're right there at ground zero where it matters, because one, you like you said, you had issues with truancy as a child and anxiety. Can you imagine being a kid right now with all of this stuff going on? And you probably have a parent that's upset, probably done lost their job, because I know a couple of people just lost their job this week from warehouses just shut down. The anxiety that child has, do you actually think that child is going to perform well at school, or are they going to go to school because they feel like, I need to go and try to go make this quick cash to try to help my parents pay this water bill, or hell, rent?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's people are dealing with so many things, and they're real things, and they're happening to everybody. I mean, Stephen's sharing his, life experience. I'm sharing mine. We don't have to look to others, or this idea of who is suffering and who needs help. It's all of us, right? We're part of that community that needs attention. And I think the best thing that we can do is be vulnerable with our stories, because when we share them, if it empowers others to share theirs as well. And when we do that, we can help each other. We talked a little bit about rising costs of medicine, rising cost of utilities. I think many of you also probably heard the story of a 22-year-old guy, 22, in Wisconsin, who his inhaler went up from like $66 to like 500 or something, and he wasn't able to afford it, and he had to use that money for rent. So he couldn't not pay rent. So he had to choose between his asthma inhaler and his rent, and he chose to pay rent. And he was found not alive 5 days later because he needed that medication, right? People are having to make really impossible decisions, and it's hurting us. We talk about children are the future. That sounds really pretty and it sounds really nice and almost like mythical. But realistically, who are going to be the doctors of tomorrow? Who's going to be sitting in those ICUs or ERs like Stephen is? Who's going to be teaching our children and being the professors a professor that Brian has been? Who is going to be being the IT professionals that we need? Who is going to be serving our country? We have veterans here as well. So who are going to be those people if we don't give them the tools to even just get through basic life? And at the end of the day, all anyone wants to do is live in a safe and healthy space, be able to afford and live. I don't love my children any more than you love your children. That's a basic fact, right? We all would do anything to help our family survive. And I don't want to criminalize or penalize or look down on someone because life happened to them. Life is and can happen to any of us. And in one moment, people can lose their jobs. You talked about warehouse workers. I know people with MBAs, JDs who are experiencing layoffs in traditionally secure industries, right? These things know no socioeconomic bounds. So I think we can no longer wait to step up. And it's really wonderful to see so many folks who have chosen to do that. And I hope that we can build a united front and show people in our communities like it's not just one. There are so many of us who are wanting to work together to build a better future for us. So I'm really excited. And I think the best thing we should do is build hope alive and continue to build community because that's what people are really hungry for.
Well said.
Okay. Very well said. Well, you know what? I know we're getting ready to wrap up the show. We went over a little bit, but that's okay. Because you know what? That's why we call it Let's Talk About Stuff, because we're going to be talking about a little bit of everything. But I definitely want to feature all of you here. And I'm going to be having candidates come on all the way up to November 3rd. So we can introduce you so you can talk about your platform and let us know what you out there doing. Sophia, I know you said you're getting ready to do a block wall. I need you to show us your shirt because you have a shirt on. Of course, we all have shirts, but I want you to show that shirt, girl.
I was block walking earlier today and I haven't had a chance to change from kids coming home and getting ready for bedtime. So I know you were saying we're a little over. I have a daughter who's enjoying her
Nice
extra
shirt.
15 minutes of being awake. Here's a little bit. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. That's a nice
We got all
shirt.
the stuff. We're ready to go block walking. Join us Saturday, January 10th at 11 a.m. at Harazakap in Castle Hills.
Well, I was going to give you the floor so you can go ahead and do your shout out. I want all of y'all to talk about your campaign, real quick. But look, Sophia, she already on it. Okay, Miss Judge. So we're gonna go with Sophia since Sophia already showing off her wonderful shirt there, and tell everybody where they can pick it up and how can they reach out to help you. All right, 2 minutes.
Thank you again so much, Stephanie, and thank you, everyone. My name is Sophia Anwar. I'm running for Justice of the Peace for Precinct 6 in Denton County. If you live in Castle Hills, you live in Carrollton, you live in parts of Plano and Dallas that are in Denton County, I am going to be on your Democratic primary ballot, February 17 to 27. This is an area that has been held by a Democrat before. This is an area that Harris, Biden, Allred, they all won. This is an area that I have also been on your ballot before. So I would love to earn your vote yet again. This is an area that I did very well in. So I hope to take that win that we built and worked on last year and just get us all across the finish line. Experience leadership matters. I've worked at the White House, the federal office, state office. And I have worked in all those levels of government. And the best thing that you can do is connect people with resources. And I know that we can do that when we work together with our local governments. I know that we can do that together when we work with our county and with our nonprofits and business partners. It takes all of us, but you have to be willing to make those collaborative efforts and really see tangible and also easy ways to help people. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I hope you'll give me the opportunity and that I can earn your vote February 17 to 27. I hope you'll join me this Saturday. We're going to block walk. If you've never done it before, if you've done it 100 times, we'll take you. We're going to build partnerships and we're going to, have buddy systems so we're not alone in this. And the whole point is to build community. I want you to leave with a neighbor that you never had met before. And I want you to leave knowing that you're not alone in this community. So join us, Sophia Anwar, working for a court for working people.
All right.
Isn't she just lovely, y'all? She's just lovely. All right. We're going to have Mr. Dr. Brian Beck, who is running to be the mayor of Denton. We're going to give you the floor, Mr. Dr. Beck is on the call.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to your viewers. As you said, Stephanie, I've been on council for 5 years, and I am stepping up to try to represent the entirety of my community. I've been doing that for 5 years, not just in my district, but representing the entire city to make sure that we have a voice for the community at large, not just particular interests. Someone that understands has the experience, as Sophia said, with how to get things done in civic government and regional government, how to form those partnerships, who knows the mechanism is all the way through the learning curve and is representing the community, not particular interests that maybe are beginning to hollow out those elements of the community. We've seen time and time again where we've had elements that we've talked to in this conversation, things like sprawl, MUDs, MMDs on the edge of town that are using up our water, that are using up our electricity in ways that are not illegal in any way, shape, or form, but are in excess. They need to pay their fair share, and we need an advocate as mayor that steps in and says, the community has to be the one that's serviced by the development and the businesses and the housing for the community, the jobs for the community. That the community itself needs to be first and foremost. So, for my priorities can basically be summed up in 4 words: affordability, infrastructure, creativity, and innovation. We need to be focusing on developing the infrastructure and such that it is affordable and not disruptive to people's lives so that they can have a good quality of life. We need to have our arts, music, entertainment, engineers, nurses, everyone be able to come to this region, be trained here, have a family here, and incubate their opportunities to develop a career here, whether that's as HVAC, as a professor, as a JP judge, wherever you, as a nurse practitioner. Look, all these different groups focus on the community, and the more we can leverage the resources that we have and not dedicate these unwarrantedly to special interests that come in, flip it after a few years and run out and force the taxpayers to run that inefficiently. Particularly, I want to really help with the affordability crisis, with things like tiered consumption rates for utilities. Denton owns all its own utilities except for the gas utility, and I think we could tier that to match consumption so that you have fair use and fair rates. And so with that, I'm running on a simple promise that Denton and Denton County comes first. I have the experience, the vision, the record to prove it, in codifying all these principles. I know how to lead. And together, we can take Denton and the region to the next step with community pride. So I hope you'll go to beckfordenton.com and consider volunteering or donating. My election is hypothetically nonpartisan, but we'll all nod and wink at that. That election starts in April and finalizes. There's probably going to be a runoff. in June. But we'll find out preliminary results on May 3rd. So I encourage everyone to not only go out and for the primaries in March, coming out for the municipals in May, and stick around for the state and federal elections in November. And so again, that's beckfordenton.com.
I clicked too fast. I clicked too fast. Thank you,
Now you're good.
Dr. Beck. Thank you. Thank you. So we're gonna have Mr. Shooks on here. He gonna shook us up and tell us about his campaign. All right, you ready? I know
Yes.
you got to get ready to go to work and save some lives.
Yes, everyone. My name is Stephen Shook. I am running for the U.S. House of Representatives in Congressional District 26. So that covers most of Denton County, Cook County, and a good chunk of Wise County. So I have been a healthcare provider in critical care, trauma, and pulmonary medicine for almost 20 years. And that has given me real frontline leadership experience that teaches you to make decisions when lives are on the line, to the point where I want to take that to the next level of taking care of my country and the community in Texas 26 and give them the same amount of care that I've given my patients care for the last 20 years. So we want to focus on, fixing what's broken, the healthcare system, affordability, infrastructure, bringing some common sense and accountability back into government. So that, as opposed to the Republicans right now that are working to serve one man, I'm looking to serve everyone in the community. So you can look up my policy and my platform on shookforcongress2026.com. And hopefully together we can make a real change in this district and in our country.
I think you're talking on mute, Steph. You might need to take yourself off mute. Happens to the best of us.
There she goes.
I'm sitting up here shutting my own self down. Isn't that something? But you thought I was going to forget about you, and I'm never going to forget about you, Dell. Y'all, when we're going to give our shout out to our co-host, Dell Frey, he is actually run for Denton County Clerk.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I only have 2 minutes, I'll try to make it fast. I want to plug a couple of different entities. One is the Frisco Democratic Club. We have 2 events every month. We have a breakfast club and a happy hour. Yes, yes, Democrats do exist in Texas, and yes, they do exist in Frisco. So come to our next happy hour. We have a gubernatorial candidate by the name of Chris Bell. Chris Bell is running as a Democrat to be our governor. There's actually quite a wide list of candidates who are running as Democrats to take on Greg Abbott. And Chris Bell will be at our happy hour. So more information about us and find out when our events are at friscodemocrats.org. I also want to plug Progressive Leaders Toastmasters. Progressive Leaders Toastmasters is a Toastmasters group that you can feel comfortable talking about politics at. It's not the case for all Toastmasters clubs, but we meet every Monday at 7 p.m. at Progressive Leaders Toastmasters. Go to Facebook and look up Progressive Leaders Toastmasters to find out more information about us. Also, Progressive Leaders Toastmasters, mark your calendars for this. On this month, where is the date? Yes, there it is right there. On January 26th, we are hosting a special event. We're hosting a candidate forum between Stephen Shook, that is on this call right here, and his primary opponent, Ernest Lineberger. We will be, I have a list of questions for them each that we'll be answering for about half an hour. And then the second half hour of the event, we will be taking questions from the audience to our candidates. So it's really important. We got a Democratic primary here in Congressional District 26 between Stephen Shook and Ernest Lineberger. And on January 26th at Progressive Leaders Toastmasters, you can see them answer questions. So you can try to figure out who you may want to vote for. Also, I will plug my own campaign. My name is Dale Frey, and I'm running to be the Denton County Clerk. The Denton County Clerk is a dual role where I am the clerk for both the county and also for the Denton County Commissioner's Court. So it's really important, as my job will be to support Stephanie, my friend here, Stephanie, along with Kansas Venezuela, who's also running to be a commissioner, and Nick Papas, who is running to be our county judge. It's really important that we flip the Denton County Commissioner's Court. It's the only way that we're going to get countywide voting on election day, which we do not have right now. We have early voting, a countywide voting on the early voting period, but not on election day, which is the last day to vote, which is very confusing to people. We need to fix this, and the only way we're going to fix this is by flipping the Denton County Commissioner's Court. Also, we need to stand against this horrible 287G program they were talking about earlier, which deputizes local law enforcement as ICE. The only way we're going to get rid of that is by flipping the Denton County Commissioner's Court, and I'm ready to be the Denton County Commissioner's Court clerk as well as the county clerk. So if you live anywhere in Denton County, I will be on your ballot. So please look forward to the name Dale Frey, and please fill in that bubble. If you want to find out more information about me, you come to freyfortexas.com. That's FREY for Texas.com. And Stephanie, again, thank you for your time.
Is Chris back or he's still on blank? He turned his camera off.
I think he's here with his camera off.
Okay.
Here to
There he
support.
is.
I'm here to support everybody to help me get elected. So I will be putting the word out as much as I can. Whether it's on social media, block walking, everybody I know. So just know that I support everybody here on the panel.
We
And Chris is our
appreciate
VP
you.
at the First Items too, by the way.
Yes.
That's so sweet, Chris. That's just so sweet. Because you know what? I'm going to put you to work because I got a lot of homes to hit.
I know you will.
I
Yes,
heard him
listen, we're
volunteer
going
to
to get
block
our.
walk everywhere.
Hey, you know what? We might, with all of us on here, we literally can go block walk with each other because we basically are kind of like in the same area.
Yeah.
So hey, I'll come out and block walk with you and stuff. Um, we listen. What did Delia say? One team. We're basically one team,
Yep.
y'all, and that's basically what it's going to have to be in Texas. We got to be on the same path and do the right thing for the people because the people are tired and they want real people that's going to have their best interests at heart. And I think that we got a great group of people, whether you have an opponent or not. This is the first time in a very long time that I've seen such a amazing group of people that we have throughout Texas that is actually putting their life on the line by saying that, hey, I want to run for office and I want to be that person that's going to stand up for you. So of course, I'm gonna put my little shout out there. It'll be quick. My name is Stephanie Draper, and I am running for Denton County Commissioner, Precinct 4. And I want to make sure that we have county-wide voting on election day. I can't tell you how important that is for us to have. We need to have that because there are small families and big families too. They want to be able to go vote anywhere that they need to vote on election day. And that is something that they're trying to work really hard to take away. And not only that, they're also trying to make sure that the election workers count these ballots. So far, we have people that's pushing against it and telling them, hey, you guys, that's a bad idea to do that. Who wants to sit there and count? And we have a perfectly good machine that we paid all this money for, you paid for, and it can count itself. So we want to make sure that we have elections, safe elections, good elections, and be able to have everybody's voice to be heard throughout our county. So remember me, Stephanie Draper, running for Denton County Commissioner, Precinct 4. And you can also follow me on Facebook, Stephanie Draper, of course. And we'll see y'all, wonderful people, next week with a whole new group of people on here. But this group right here, we're going to bring them back because I like them. We're going to bring them back. And we're going to bring you back before March 3rd. So y'all know early voting starts February 17th. But my birthday is February 18th. So I'm gonna need y'all to Cash App or whatever you gotta do, donate to my campaign. And you know what? My
How
campaign
convenient.
slogan. Get it though? My campaign slogan.
I ain't mad at that.
Hey Chris, I need y'all to drop 55 for 55. All right. But you guys are wonderful. I appreciate you for coming on here, and I look forward to helping y'all wherever I can in your run for all of your positions, because I think everybody's being primary. But you know what? At the end of the day, we're all one team and we're going to work together to help each other. And I just really appreciate y'all sacrificing your time away from your family and your friends and whatever you do in your life to stand up and run for office, because this is not an easy role. And I know y'all did not take this lightly, and we want to make sure that we take care of people. So thank y'all for coming on to this show. Dale, you want to close us out tonight since you was late?
Okay, all right. Let's see. Well, I kind of gave some of my personal closing stuff, but thank you all very much for showing up here. It's also really important that we support our candidates. As mentioned, we 3 of the candidates have primaries, so definitely want us to support Sophia and Stephen and Brian. And again, for the primary for CD26, again, Progressive Leaders Toastmasters, please come out to that. I'm also, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that forum for Congressional District 26 will also be online on Zoom as well. So come out to Facebook and search for Progressive Leaders Toastmasters. You'll be able to find our group from there. You just RSVP and you'll get the Zoom link as well. So with that said,
please join us for that one. That's going to be good with me and Ernest.
Yep.
All right. Yep.
And and keep your eyes out.
Oh yes,
we're gonna try to see if we can get any more candidate forums between candidates. Hopefully we can get so maybe we can get Sophia and her opponent as well. And we also have another Democratic primary on the Collin County side. So I won't go too much into detail about that because I think we're all in Denton County here. So that said, Stephanie, thank you so much for hosting, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week. Oh, I think she just dropped. Well, she's in a hurry. All right. Thankfully, I have admin rights, so I can click the. Oh, she's back. There she is.
Alrighty, I guess we have blanked out.
I was about to hang up. I was with the podcast button.
Dr. Beck, that's what I need you to work on. we got to fix this technology thing that's going on here. But thank y'all, and be looking forward to another invite. And don't be surprised if I have your opponent on here where you're on here too, and y'all can kind of like chat it out so the people have an opportunity to decide who they want to vote for. But regardless, I'm going to support everybody. I'm supporting everybody. I love y'all. So come on back here. Thank y'all for coming on to Let's Talk About Stuff, and we'll see y'all real soon. And y'all, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share, because you know what? The more y'all like and share and subscribe, the more I can reach out to more people and bring more candidates on throughout our state and maybe the country. All right. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you so much for having us on.